Awesome. So, welcome to another episode of Is Success Simple, where we dive into what it takes to be successful and we give people the opportunity to talk about what success means to them and also giving the listeners an insight around how to be successful in their own eyes. I'm really excited to welcome Adrian Huber onto the call. Um, Adrian is a CEO of, and this is a fascinating name because the name has got me really interested. Corient Media Partners. Have I said that
Yes.
right?
Yeah, you have. I'm actually quite impressed because a lot of people tend to get a bit confused, but essentially it's a bit of a play on word.
Cool.
So it stands for being client orientated. It's mashing those two together.
Cool. Well, that was going to be my first question.
Yeah.
Where's the name come from? But for the listeners, Adrian, give us a 60-second version of who you are, a bit about your business and so forth.
Yeah, of course. So, I guess, Corient Media Partners, is a marketing company and we specialize in helping service-based businesses, um, you know, really, sort of achieve their objectives when it comes to growth. So,
Okay.
that's really what we specialize in. And we do that through really developing tailored end-to-end customer journeys for, any sort of service-based business. We do typically specialize within the financial services space. And then additionally, which
Interesting.
is, yeah. Additionally, we also have a second sort of subcategory, I guess, which is within the sort of civil construction space as well. Um, they're very polar opposite industries, but
Yeah.
yeah, I could talk about it all day, but essentially
Yeah.
there are
No,
two.
we're gonna. I'm curious because from what I understand, your background is SaaS.
Yes, yeah. So I've gone on like a bit of a weird and wonderful journey. Um, Essentially, I was working on DocuSign, which I know is a
Oh,
product everyone sort of loves, especially from you guys as well, having a bit of a tech background yourselves.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I was at DocuSign for a number of years. Fantastic company, great company to work for. Was working there for 5 or 6 years, and really that's where I was able to get a lot of my skill sets around um, business and the front end, so particularly marketing and sales. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, really from there, I guess from my sense, there was a lot of really strong marketing processes around that larger sort of enterprise business groups, but really a struggling segment was that smaller business end, particularly businesses that have a bit of an established revenue line, somewhere between about $1 million in turnover and $1 to $3 million, where their existing referral networks were more or less, keeping them within that revenue space. And these type of small businesses start looking at, okay, what other ways can I expand? What other ways can I grow?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and that's really where I guess marketing is one of those avenues that you can look down, and a lot of businesses tend to do so. And yeah, really for myself, that's where I saw a bit of a gap in the market and an opportunity. There's a lot of businesses out there within the marketing space, not many really narrowing and focusing on, I guess, service-based businesses.
Great.
Yeah, and obviously e-commerce is the hot topic where everyone
Yeah.
loves, a single service, a rinse and repeat model. Your tailored sort of end-to-end journeys, your sort of tailored marketing solutions are only really there for your mid-market and enterprise businesses, but less of this smaller end. Um,
Mm.
so yeah,
It's
that's
interesting, like
yeah.
it because it's a complete massive shift that you've gone on. So tell me what did you love about the shift that you made? Like, 'cause I know
Yes.
you mentioned that you saw a gap in the market and you saw, but how did you see not only the gap, but have the confidence in yourself to go, I can go and fill that gap and deliver
Mm.
on the service?
That's a great question. To give you a bit of a further background into myself is actually,
Please.
I started I was from the fitness industry. So, I studied in fitness.
Yeah.
Um, then from there, I had the opportunity when I was about 21 to actually open up a facility.
Cool.
So me and two other partners, a silent investor and I guess more of a mentor, started a business. Um, and that was my first taste of business. I was also very young. And unfortunately, it didn't plan out the way we wanted to.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? You don't. Hindsight's a blessing in disguise sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so look, I started off there. So my background into business was really already established, and funny enough, I actually saw my father was very much embedded in the corporate aspect, had a very high stressful job, always traveling, but treated like absolute dog, absolute. I don't know if I
You
can
can
swear,
swear. You
but
can
okay,
swear.
okay. Absolute dog shit. And from there, I guess I went the opposite way from a personality when I was young, and I always loved, the idea of business. Then from there, I had this opportunity when I was 21, and really it sort of didn't go the way I wanted to. But what I noticed was there was a skill set gap within that front end. It was sales and marketing. That's your revenue. That's your bloodstream. Without that, you don't really have a
Mm,
business. You can have the best product in the world, but if you can't get out in front of people and sell it, you don't
yeah.
really have a business. Um, so yeah, then from there, I guess with DocuSign and why I took that jump again is it was sort of something I left behind that I never really got to achieve. And having, 5, 6 years of, I guess, selling experience and experience within, working with marketing, it was something I guess I had to give a go, give it another go and another shot. And it's been a weird and wonderful journey. But yeah, here I am 2 years later, almost three, actually.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So then let's go back because there's plenty of people out there. I've been in the shoes where you see a gap in the market, you look at your skills and the hunger, the drive, and to go, do you know what, I can do it. But you also get that self doubt, the negative self talk that goes on. So, how did you compartmentalize it to take the leap and make it happen? Because I think there's so many people out there that have fantastic, great ideas, but don't have that confidence to take that first step.
Yeah, I think it's so tricky. Uh, because it's almost it's probably one of the biggest leap of faiths that you will do.
Yeah.
And it's just scary, I think, no matter what way you look at it, right? And I think that's why business is so difficult because it's the fear of the unknown. I think
Mm,
that's what it really comes down to. Even if you have this concept and you believe in it so much and you know it will work, but you don't know if it's going to be 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, five
yeah.
years before you find that traction. And I think that it's this monster that sort of, is in the back of your head, like you say, and it does stay there. Like even I think that's why they say the first 2 to 3 years of business is tough because you get it to a line. I think you've really got to give business sort of 12 months and you come to this line and the line is I'm either going to tip over it and I'm going to go into that realm of success or I'm going to tip backwards and things are going to fall over. And then you sort of walk that line for another, year or potentially 2 years where it's right on there. You may drift a little bit to the right or to the left, but you more or less come back to that center line. And, I think eventually what happens is through learning and hardship and failures, you do, venture over and achieve that level of success.
Mm. It's interesting what you're saying, because you're right. There is that back and forth. I feel like a lot of businesses, because you've got the first step of jumping in it and starting
Yeah.
something, and then you've got the steps that come after, where you get to that breaking point potentially where you go, like, I just go back and get a full-time job,
Yeah.
and that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So the question I have in that, agent, is how did you get past that, and is it still coming up, or are
Yeah.
you talk to me about that?
Yeah, great question. You can talk about qualities like, resilience and things like that, which I think are all key attributes of what you do need if you do step into this space. And if I could do my time again, I guess to be honest, I probably did have that fear, and I did have that fear for about 12 months.
Okay.
Where it was, really scary. And I can go back and, SaaS and SaaS sales is a fantastic way to earn
Yeah.
quite good money, right?
Yeah.
If I was to look at, a PYG format, I would definitely go back into sales because you have that control of your income to a level. Similar to why people venture into business, right? Is because they're looking to, I guess a big part of it is the monetary aspect to starting it, right? High risk, high reward. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, for about 12 months, I sort of walked that line where looked back and went, I could get a really good paying job. I haven't had this low of a salary for a long time, and it plays with your head. You got family commitments, you've got, things that pop up in your life that, just require, I guess, money at the
Yeah.
end,
Yeah.
cost of
Yeah.
living, inflation, anything you can talk
Yeah.
about, right? And yeah, I think it's all about, having that future state front of mind. And I think what a lot of unsuccessful business owners, or not unsuccessful, or people who do decide not to continue, is because they let those fears, I guess, consume them and sort of stop before they turn the corner.
Mm.
So I think for me, it was, I guess I had to do a lot of work of, under compartmentalizing those thoughts is a great way, and sort of letting them flow over like waves. But additionally, when you have those thoughts, I think it's sitting down and going realistically, okay, what's my current situation and what is the future state going to look like? And then do
Okay.
a cost benefit analysis, right? Of, okay, that future state, I have 100% certainty that in a long enough time frame, these things are going to be achieved.
Mm.
And these are the reasons why, and sort of reverse engineering. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that is a really good way to, control your thoughts. Because, your emotions aren't always right.
Yeah. And on that, it's like, because it's one of the favorite quotes I love is, to get to the new you have to outlast the old you.
Yeah.
And it's just that consistency. And it's interesting because you mentioned a couple of things around, like, the mindset and the thoughts, and the limiting beliefs people can have. And
Mm.
so I'd love to dive into that part with you, and sort of understand, like, what some of the limiting beliefs that you had coming up, and what were you able to do to silence them, to still be able to
Yeah.
continue on the path that you're going.
Well, that is a great question. It's funny because when I first started, the noise was really loud in your head of those type of thoughts. But, you know, what I'm finding is that I always found I had really good resilience, but now I think I'm at a whole nother level where, you know, real bad things will happen. Like, within the last couple of weeks, we lost our biggest client just due to a couple circumstances that was outside of our control.
Mm-hmm.
And was a big chunk of revenue for the business, right? And we've got 11 staff within the team. So, there's people, waiting on myself and the business. Um,
Yeah.
and it's, at that point you can just really sort of throw in the towel and, if just go, just put your head down or sulk or, back off efforts or whatever it is. But nowadays I find that I look at those things and I go, okay, what are our key learnings from these type of situations? What could we have done better? What could we have done better to control the situation? How can we
Hmm.
add more value to what we are doing and to make us, I guess, stickier and, take those key learnings and move forward. I guess, going back and having those dark thoughts, I had thoughts within the first year of it's not worth it. I had thoughts of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I think that's a
Yeah.
really common one.
Yes.
And like, is this ever going to work? I think they're probably the three biggest ones for myself.
Do you remember what kept you going through that?
A big component was having a really supportive partner. I think that is, someone to, whether it's a mentor or a partner or, whoever you have, someone to say, you're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And remind you of this is why you're doing it. You can go back to being in an office from 9 to 5, you know, working for in my circumstance, a split commission of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
3 or 4% of what the revenue was,
Yeah.
making someone else hundreds of thousands of dollars in, sorry, more so like, $500,000 to, $1 million of reoccurring annual revenue, or you can try and figure this puzzle out and do it for yourself.
Yeah. And the job's always going to be there, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
that.
that's if it all.
That's it.
Sorry, go
So,
on, Charlie.
no, I think we can tell we're both getting excited about this, and I love this because I think you're right. Like the job's always there, and it's like I think there's so many stories talked about in terms of like I think there was a study done about people on their deathbeds in terms of what was the biggest regret
Yeah.
they had,
Mm.
and it was not the things they have done; it's the things that they didn't do and the dreams they didn't pursue. That for me, when I've heard that, that's really stuck with me, and I think it seems like that's similar to what you're
That's it.
referencing.
That's 100% exactly what it is, Charlie. And you've hit the nail on the head there. I think that is the main thing, because the job is always going to be there. If this all does blow over and you end up, let's say, I don't know, you may have to default on some debt if you've got, company finance or things like that. At the end of the day, like, people get into those situations all the time and they recover from
Yeah,
it, right? And that job is always going to be there. Like, if at the end of the day, all our revenue dried up and we lost every single client on the books, I can still go back and earn not too bad of an income, right?
yeah,
It may not give me the same fulfillment or drive or
yes.
happiness and all these important things, but there is, I guess, somewhat of a safety net.
Mm,
So yeah.
yeah, I love that. And it's I think you made some really valid points for people listening around that sometimes it's okay to feel those feelings. It's okay to feel those thoughts, and it's being able to compartmentalize them because yeah, it's the most important conversation you're going to have every single day is the one that you have with yourself, and that yeah, it defines like your. It's a famous Joe Dispenza saying, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah.
Your personal reality creates. Oh no, your personality creates your personal reality, and
Mm,
it's like it's what part like because you're so if you look at your journey from being in the fitness industry, going to corporate, and then being an entrepreneur, how much have you worked on your PD, and how much would you result that to some of the success that you're seeing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I tend to think that, especially if you when you start with the business, right? And we say this a lot in marketing, you sort of start with a bit more of a personal brand, right? You're on the tools, you do everything. So then from there, once you get to a certain level, you start moving away from that personal brand and start looking at more of that, I guess, almost corporatized sort of model, right? And I think, going through the journey, everything, the reason why the business is where it is at today is because, I worked on that PR side of things. And it's all about, there is so much of business, particularly small business, is relying on others and speaking to others and, you know, understanding their journeys and, even making those type of business connections. I think there was, I can't remember, I read something about the way rich people do business is normally based on a handshake agreement, right? And the more I'm in this space, the more I've realized how true that is. Like, you can get the
Mm,
most legally binding contract in place, but if someone's going to, I guess, screw you over, they're going to screw you over, right?
for sure.
But if you can create, these type of strong I'm not saying do a handshake agreement, but I'm saying, like, if you can, speak to people and present your own brand and, but I think it's about, being good at what you do and being good at heart, and working with people
Yeah.
and creating those connections, that's how the business starts making these, 1% improvements every day as well.
Yeah, I think it's especially nowadays as well, like in terms of trust is become so important. Like, and you mentioned before around like marketing and sales, and it's interesting to get your thoughts on how you view the industry as a whole now when you look at sales and marketing. Because if you look at it, like I think it's evolved significantly,
Mm,
and I think how people make decisions now is completely different to how, like, or how they want to be sold to now is completely different to how they
yeah.
want to be, how they were sold to. So talk to me about what you're seeing and how you're helping your clients navigate that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. I think with, coming from DocuSign, right, it was much more of a transactional sale, right? Because the product sold itself. So,
Yeah.
additionally, the space I was in and the format of the business, it didn't nurture a relationship-based sale, not within the selling department I was within, right?
Okay.
So then from there, coming into, I guess, a small business space, you it is so relationship based. It changes your whole sale.
Mm,
And I read this fantastic book, and I can't remember which one it is now, but I read it years ago. Right? It was something like a 7 principles to a close or to a natural close.
okay.
uh, I speak about a lot in my business as a natural close, and really what it is you're right. It's got a lot to do with trust and authority and establishing that credibility in what you do. But it's really about helping people and adding the value, right? And I think if you take people on a journey and your objective is always to, book another meeting where you're trying to get, whether it's whatever the objective is, it's either feedback or a presentation or value session or,
Yeah.
a cost benefit analysis of return on investment, whatever it may be within your process. What will happen is, I think, the natural close sort of comes into play a little bit more. And it's during that time, what you're doing is just establishing that face to a name, building that credibility, building that trust meter. Um,
Mhm.
because especially within the world we're living with at the moment, and there is so many, I guess, microtransactional single service rinse and repeat, that essence of service has really gone away.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a big standout. So I guess what we do for our clients and help them with is communicating that, because that's probably another big component is, communicating that message. I may be getting off topic here, Charlie, but
No, go on. No, no,
I,
no. Go for it, man.
I always ask, when we do our initial conversations with businesses, we ask two key questions, and even businesses that are at I've spoken to some that are at sort of 8 to 10 million in revenue, you know, who is your ideal client and what is your unique value proposition? And everyone says something at surface level, but if you really dig
Yeah.
down deep, right? And it's like, they're getting stumped within their answer.
Yeah.
And I think that, really, and especially in that unique value proposition component, if you really dig down deep enough and get them to an emotional level where they start speaking like we are today,
Mm.
all this incredible, I guess their unique value proposition comes out,
Passion.
passion and
Yeah.
care and love. And you can see through all of that how good of a job they do, but none of that side is ever articulated. It's like locked
And
up.
how do you do that? Like, how do you, like, because I hear you. And so if someone's talking passionately about the business, why they do it, why they love it, how they are able to help certain clients, how do you take all of that and communicate it effectively?
Yeah, I mean, that's the secret sauce, right?
Yeah.
Um, but essentially, what it falls down to is really breaking things down, and you may need to do this over 2 or 3 sessions. And I'm
Okay.
also a big fan of a whiteboard as well, and
Yeah.
sitting down with clients and really challenging them, starting off with a very surface level, like, what do you do? Tell me about your existing client. What's your percentage of book of business? And then really digging down deeper into this stuff, right? And I
Hmm.
think mapping things in a visual format really helps business owners when they're so stuck in what they do on a day to day. Your head sort of, because you wear so many hats, it's sort of, the message sort of gets hidden or trapped. And I think by doing a process like that, I mean, for our clients, it really helps draw that out of them.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's quite easy. When you get to that baseline, it's all about, okay, translating that emotion to a little bit more of a corporatized format within the brand that you're trying to do. And then from that, creating content around that and supporting them with that. I don't know if this could be a bit of a personal touch thing, but I love really getting involved with, if we are doing like video-based content like today, helping prompt that key messaging out of them. And
Mm.
I mean,
Coaching them.
the coaching, yes, exactly. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coaching them, like, I understand you and what you do and how you do it, and this passion behind it, etc. If I'm not seeing that translate, it's that little bit of coaching, a little bit of guidance. Okay, this is what people want to hear. And I think it's
Mhm.
putting yourself in the shoes of both, from my perspective, the business owner, because there's a, certain standard that they want to meet as representing their brand,
Of
but putting
course.
yourself in the shoes of the client and the ideal client they're trying to attract as well.
Yeah.
And okay, for example, we work with a lot of mortgage brokers, so typically a very transactional based industry. All right. But, we were working with one client in particular where it's like, okay, I was within the software. I had commission based structures. That is hard to get a loan through standard banks. Like, okay,
Yes.
how do you guys can fight for me for an out of policy process to give me greater a greater loan amount. Additionally, from that space, you can also help me in an advisory way on how to scale 2 or 3 investment properties over the next 5 years to buy my dream home, which really is my personal goal as a client. So
Yeah,
if we can create the content and messaging around that and share that and communicate it, you know, there is your
for sure.
value add to the end client. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and I think and you probably find this more as well, is keeping the consistency to that
Mm.
as well, because you can deliver that message through the marketing tools and so forth, but then if they meet the person and they're not consistent with that delivery, trust is gone like that.
Yes, that's right. And that is a really big component, right? Because, typically with marketing, it doesn't get involved in the, I guess, post lead journey, right? Or,
Yes.
but yeah, I
Post
guess
that. Oh yeah, post that.
post,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, there's an argument for that, but yeah, well, let's just say that post lead journey, right? Where it's actually working with the client and understanding, okay, um, you know, out of this generated, we're talking about lead generation here, but out of these ideal clients, right? How many of those went to what stage? Okay, where are we falling off? All of this can be driven by data, right? Like there's
Yeah.
CRM stores you can run AI models through now, all these things, right? But it's about working with the client throughout the actual sales process.
Mm.
And probably another value out of something what we do as a business, because I understand the sales side of things, and aligning that marketing to sales, and which I think is a big key component.
It's interesting. The reason I'm smiling is because it's something that we talk about with clients. Is that like my background is close to 15 years in sales,
Yeah,
and predominantly that being cold calling, closing, appointment setting. So when we're talking to clients around helping them generate new business, it's like the sales side is so important, and I find what I find fascinating about the industry and how it's evolved is that the you look at when the internet came in, there's like people were using the internet to get information and so forth. It's now on steroids because
yeah,
of AI and ChatGPT. So, and clients, regardless of what industry it is, have a better understanding of what they want, and they also have an understanding of what sales techniques there is. So
yes,
what's really fascinating about that is when you're speaking to clients now, if you're using the old sales techniques of the yes train and so people know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and they don't like it.
You know what really pisses me off is when people call you and go, um, "Hi, Adrian." But hi, Charlie. It's Adrian from Corient. This is a cold call. Like the amount of times you hear that crap, and it's like, I'm quite open to hearing an elevator pitch, right? I really like it,
Yeah.
but as soon as you start, I don't know what it is. I just feel
Do you know what
like,
it is? Because I've trained this. I
okay,
train it in a way where I say, Adrian, just want to let you know this is a cold call that you can either give me 50 seconds to give you the pit, or you can tell me to get a real job.
yeah,
But it's humor. The thing
that's a bit different. The delivery is
it
different. So,
is.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is. It's all about delivery. Everything that when you pitch anything, it's all about delivery and picking up very quickly from an indicator point of view who you're speaking to. That first 5 seconds of how they answer the call,
yeah,
you have to be so captivated to go, all right, how they've responded, I need to be on it. And if they respond this way, okay, I need to be a little bit more direct, or I need to be a little bit softer. And I
yeah,
think nowadays, with the evolution of AI, you're going to have a lot of salespeople that will get passed because AI has the capabilities to be able to do what they do.
yeah,
But the elite will adapt and communicate effectively different. And that's why I
yes,
spoke about the trust before, because I think nowadays people crave that.
mm,
They want, and it's unconscious as well. Sometimes they don't realize it from a customer point of view that they're wanting someone to help them go down the process together
yeah,
and not just, all right, is price. All right, I'm choosing from
Yeah.
the best price. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's right. It's sort of it's more or less gone in a full circle, right? Like it's gone back to, you know, old sort of relationship back sales. Is people are looking for a
Yes,
trusted partner to hold their hand and take them through, right? And, you know, at any time they can, you know, walk on the same path or take their own, right? And it's,
correct.
you know, by taking the steps with them, you know, once again, it's I guess that trust and authority and you know, not coming across as a salesman. I think that's probably one of the hardest things to do when you're selling, right? And
Do you know what's interesting in that though? Like it's such a like I had this, and this is so true. And I try to live up this on a daily basis when I'm talking to clients. Is that you have average salespeople sell the features.
yeah.
Great, good, like really good salespeople sell outcomes.
Mm.
The great salespeople sell feelings.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love that because it works both ways. If you can, and you know it as well, like whether it's on the phone, whether it's in a team Zoom meeting, in person, you know when you get someone to feel something. And you mentioned it before when you were talking about getting clients to talk about what really motivates them. And I wanted to ask you a question, like with what you do at C- Centurion? Is that Centurion? Okay.
Corient.
Corient. Sorry. I
No,
thought,
that's okay.
I nailed it at the start. I thought, have I got the confidence to try and go again?
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you gave it a shot, Charlie. I'm glad.
um, tell me what you love. Tell me what you love about what you're able to do on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, it's funny because there's so many. At the end of the day, I love helping people. That's what it is. Like that's what really,
I
you
can
know,
see that.
wakes me up in the morning. Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
passionate about. You know, and sometimes like I speak to you know, what's great is I've got quite a good skill set where, you know, um, pipeline isn't necessarily a big concern for my business, right? And I
Right.
speak to so many people, so many I guess ideal clients of mine, and sometimes marketing isn't what they need right now.
Yeah.
But but it doesn't mean it's a bad conversation, or it doesn't mean it's a ending conversation. Sometimes I refer them to a client of mine that does, you know, that does consulting for $30 million companies plus, right? And this business owner has started a new adventure who I've reached out to. They're not ready for that, but they've got this other business or, you know,
Um,
something like that. You know, it's just incredible speaking to people. First of all, and one of my favorite questions is, what does, you know, XYZ company mean to you personally? Um,
um,
Understanding that personal attachment, understanding that feelings around why they do what they do and bringing that out of them, um, is just really what I love. So I guess, yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. And so we spoke around a lot around obviously your journey, a lot about what you enjoy and the philosophy that you have when it comes to sales and marketing. What are some of the challenges that you face now at the moment in this market?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a hard market, right? Like we're really seeing tightness of business expenditure. I mean, all of my clients are experiencing as well. So really across all industries. And look, we're probably getting out of the thick of it now, in all honesty. But um, uh, I guess for us, you know, some of the things I guess we're constantly working on is our back end, to be honest with you, and our serviceability. One of the things we've really highlighted is our reporting
Mm,
isn't up to standard where we
okay.
can really start lifting that out so we can once again, in a more cleaner format, really explain the value that we've done. Because,
Mm,
you know, your marketing's similar to sales. You're only as good as your last month.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, you know, if you can't, translate that data in a format where, someone with that experience can understand it, and then if you can't really track the return on investment in the correct way, unfortunately, your retention rate is really going to suffer. So
Mm,
I
hmm.
guess for us, we've been able to build out a really good front end. We're really good at the back end processes, which has taken a while, right? We've made mistakes. We've had really difficult learnings. But now that that is sorted for us, it's about that reporting element, and once again, working with clients and adding that additional value sort of post sale or,
Yeah,
post lead. So,
nice.
um, yeah, I
So
guess
it's the back end and just being able to report, I guess, make the data make sense.
make the data make sense. That's right. That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
cool.
Um, so I guess, that's sort of the thing that we're improving on, that we're working on a lot at the moment is once again getting better with the client experience,
Mm,
the journey. So someone told me this actually, which I think you like, Charlie, is um, once you sell a client or you close a client, you typically begin onboarding, but really it's all sales. Even servicing is
mm,
theoretically at heart
for
still
sure.
selling.
Yeah,
The sales experience should never end, and the customer journey should never end. And even though you may be in a section where you are onboarding, you are still, that is the experience. That is the sales experience. Like, they're experiencing what you've sold. So it's within that sort of sales mentality. And the same with the servicing component, right? Is they are beginning the journey. And
mm,
on that journey, you want to make sure that there is still the same core values that you presented within your initial close, right? Like, you have to
yeah,
have that communication, you have to have that delivery, you have to have, those expertise and those value, and that should never stop.
100%.
Yeah.
And consistency is key to every facet, but trust more so because
Yeah.
it's the same. I always say this as well. When you start a call to how you finish the call should be the same in terms of the consistency. And where a lot of people fall short, whether it's a, a customer service sales call or any other call, is that when they get hit with certain objections or they change and then they come and then from a customer point of view, they not always can put the finger on it, but they get off the phone and go, it's a gut feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And there's a part of it is they're always, a client or a prospect is always going to have that hint of doubt or
Of course.
that little voice, right? Because
Yeah.
we're humans, we naturally go and fall back to that negative, you know, predisposition, I guess you can say, that we have. So yeah, once again, it's just, focusing on, I guess, not letting your emotions from a situation affect the client experience, and
Hmm.
you know, carrying that throughout the whole process. Yeah.
Love it, man. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
How do you think AI is starting to impact your what you do, and have you started to implement AI in any facet within your business?
Yes. Yeah. Great question. AI is probably our biggest. So I've got someone within an operational within my business, and her main key role is to explore AI solutions.
Awesome.
So we are obviously AI is coming into play, and I think it brings a lot of fear into some people, which once again, I don't think it should. It's just like the internet, right?
Yeah.
People who stay ahead of the game, right, learn how to use these tools effectively. And, I don't think it's going to get to the level where I guess a lot of people's fear comes from. I think it's going to be a symbiotic component of our day-to-day business that is going to support, just like ChatGPT does, is a prime example of a support function.
Yeah.
But really for us, we're doing some incredible things like AI content generation. Like, some of that is just insane.
Yeah.
It's still not to the point of 100%, but it's going to get there. I reckon not even
Yeah.
12 months time. Like, it's just incredible. Then from there, we're even looking at it from a front end point of view, where we're actually I've got a sales support staff for myself as well, and we're looking at analyzing her talk tracks and my talk tracks, running that through an AI model, which will allow us to understand
Where you can improve.
where you can improve. Exactly. What
Yeah.
worked, what didn't work. What's the secret formula? Why did a prospect say no at this stage of the cycle?
Love it.
Like all of these things.
We on that we have a software that we use and implement for other businesses, and honestly it's fantastic because having to go through calls and listen and try and pick out where this analyzer will how we programmed it, we gave it a scorecard, and you had 5 sections, and then each of that section it would judge you out of 10, and it would tell you
wow.
how you need to improve, and then it would give you the feedback at the end. So from a sales manager point of view,
I was going to say,
it's unbelievable. I had a team on it that I was running, and I was overseas, and I would just look at that, and I'd go, I wouldn't even give any more feedback. I'd be like, just follow what that's saying.
Yeah. Wow.
Because that is the feedback. And it was unbelievable. So it's fascinating that you started to do that, because I see, because it's mind blowing how efficient AI is. And I think it's the ones that adapt to it. Like, I think now it's become to a point where it's not a competitive advantage.
Yes.
It's a competitive necessity to implement it.
That is so true. I couldn't, and you're exactly right. Like we've established as a marketing front, when we are looking into things like, we are using our content generation, particularly for, for copy, for design elements, for statics, things like that. The video based stuff is still, a little bit, it's not sort of there, but really from an AI sense, right? We've identified that if we don't get on this train, our whole business will be, we won't have a business, like, especially within marketing too. I don't know why. It just feels like, I guess a lot of people count on their marketing departments or team to sort of give that type of advice into, okay, what can we do and what can't we do? Like whether that's systems integrations like CRMs, whether that's, front end lead generation, whatever it is, so I guess the answer to your question is, if you're not within that bandwagon, and if you're not quick to do so, you're very quickly going to fall behind. And once you're a late adopter in something like this, I don't think you'll be able to really, really recover. But, that may be just a
I agree.
opinion. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think the gap that it will create, it will be too significant. And it's one of those things that it's been adapted, because marketing, like, my opinion with marketing is getting your message out. Sometimes, like, people say, right, I need to get the perfect message out to deliver exactly how I feel. And it's like, yeah, you can do that. But but then it's like, well, how quick can you get to the market and learn from the different messaging to then tweak the actual message is sometimes a better avenue. It's like that, a famous story around, basically, there was a study done of pot makers, where they sit down and make the clay pots. I don't know if you've heard this one.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard this one. So this will be interesting.
It's interesting, right? So basically, there was one team, and their task was over the summer break to come back with the one perfect pot. That's their one objective. The other team, their objective was to make as many as possible. And what was
Mm.
interesting, the result that came back was the team that was told to make as many as possible made way more better pots than the
Wow.
team that was designed to make
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And that just is just like, it just shows that getting out and getting to the market and getting in front of people is so much more effective than working at trying to get the perfect message and the perfect product and the perfect service.
Yes, that's 100%. And the thing is, I always come back to the sense of like I really like combat sports, right? And that is the same. It's that same methodology, right? You can do as much pad work as you want, but as soon as you get to
Get hit
where
in the
you're really,
face.
yeah, exactly, right. So, um, you can be in this perfect scenario in this closed box,
Yeah.
but the reality of the world is going to shake you up in different ways you haven't
Yeah.
thought, and things that are so far out of scope that you would never know you had to react to. And
Mm,
learning through failure or trial and error or whatever keyword you want to say is just
for sure.
critical, right? And I think that's how you're going to get the biggest progress. And if you relate that back to AI, right, it's the same type of things. It's the same sort of concept there as well. It's just so important to trial things, to take a new thing to market,
Yeah,
um, you know, within a safe space, and quickly test
for
that out.
sure.
Yeah.
Mate, it's funny because it's like it sort of comes back round to what we were talking about at the start in terms of the journey. It's like it sounds like the journey you went on because you were willing to fail early and just keep going. Like this is where the fact that you've now in the 3 years built a business where you have 11 staff, like I think it's fantastic, and I think it's an inspiration for everyone, including myself, to see that. So I want to give you props for that and
Oh,
say,
thank
mate,
you.
you're
Oh,
kicking ass when it comes to that, man.
thank you. Thank you so much, Charlie. I think, I still feel like there is so much for me to learn. Like,
And I love that.
I really feel like I'm scratching the surface of this incredible, complex sort of 3D puzzle that you have to build right without
5D.
pieces. you know, you got a missing piece over there and you got to speak to that guy to get it right.
You know what I
Like,
mean? But all right, Adrian. So it's come to the last part of the podcast. But do you know what? Everyone knows it's supposed to be one podcast. You might have seen we've had an outfit change because there's technical issues. Part
yes,
of teaming issues as you do. So we brought Adrian back on to clarify the three questions, and be intriguing to see if you remain the same in what we did last time, because no
yeah.
one else will know other than me and you. So
Yeah, that's right. I don't remember what I said, so hopefully it matches.
it don't matter. Well, first question: what does success mean to you?
Or, yeah, I think this is does bring me back to what I said last time. And success to me is really freedom of my own time, and being able to wake up doing the wake up in the morning, hopefully, and sort of figure out what I want to do for the day, and have the ability to pick and choose where I want to allocate my time, whether that's in the family bucket, whether that's in the educational bucket, the operation side, sales side, whatever it may be. I guess really having that control of my own time, that's probably the most valuable thing, and really why I've started the business. And you
Yeah.
know, in not being an employee is having that flexibility. Of course, it takes work. Having your own business takes work to get to that level. Something I'm definitely still working on. But yeah, that's really, I think, the pinnacle of where my success would be is when everything, the business runs itself, money comes in the
Mm.
door, and I get to choose what I want to do.
Love it, love it. And so, with that view and how you see it now, what advice would you give an 18-year-old Adrian that's starting out maybe in his career or how you saw the world back then? What advice would you give him based on how he should see success?
Ooh, yes. Ugh, very good question. I wish I wrote this down the first time. I it's come up with something a bit more rehearsed.
Cheating.
Yeah, yeah. I think advice would be to, stick through the hard times and the challenging times. I think that's really what differentiates someone who is, I mean, successful in anything, right? You take elite athletes, for example, right? It's, um, uh, you know, uh, top performance are defined by their losses or their difficult
Mm,
times. And I think that's something I would say to my younger self is that, if you could stick with the hard times and ride that journey and learn from it, you've got a much higher chance of success. And yeah, I think that's probably what I would say is, ride the waves and don't put so much pressure on yourself. Don't feel
yeah.
failure. I think that's another big one, and especially something I've suffered with a lot is that fear of failure. Um,
Okay.
and probably not failure, actually, probably expectation, whether it's my own or, someone
Mm,
else's. It's not living up to some sort of superficial standards that I've put on myself or someone else has put on me. Um,
do
and
you
I
think
think
that's the fear of success?
it's probably tied into it. I'm actually reading, I've got it in front of me, The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you guys seen this, but it's an
Think
old
rich to
one.
get rich.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's really good. And it talks about that. It talks about the way millionaires think. And one of those things is, um, really having that mindset around, removing the fear of success and the fear of wealth, really. So it probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I resonate is because it's something that I've struggled with when I was younger. It's
Yeah.
always like I look at where I wanted to go, and then it's like, well, I should be further along the journey.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And
Definitely.
then what I found is the closer I got, the more uncomfortable I felt. And I felt more comfortable in the struggle in the chase where, like, for example, if I didn't have any money, like I was used to that,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny how these little things become blockers, right? And it, that's where, like, uh, I think, health coaching or mental coaching has become so popular lately because, I think as people are getting wiser and smarter, they're realizing that it's becoming such a big factor. It's not just about training skill sets. It's about, you know,
Yeah,
training that mental fortitude. And I do think like, business is a lot like running a business is a lot like being an elite athlete in a lot of
for
ways.
sure.
It's hours in, right? It's 1%
Yeah.
improvements. It's repetitive behaviors that get you towards your goal. So yeah, look, I definitely think that's the case.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting. And then last but not least, Adrian, is success simple?
uh, yeah, success simple. I wish it was. I've heard, I've heard some people that just start a business and get it straight away, right? But um, typically, you find that they've had some sort of assistance, whether that's a big client, maybe they've been had a really good introduction, and that's what sort of made them journey. They're starting off with their business with a 500K contract, or
Yeah,
they've got good backing or an equity partner or something like that. Which I think when you look at success, and I think a business moving forward in the right direction is, somewhat classified as being successful and not sort of breaking. And um, yeah, I think those things definitely tend to help. But for someone like myself, starting this business in, I guess, more or less a new industry that I wasn't familiar with no existing network, no connections, no potential partners, nothing like that. It's definitely been a grind and it's been a big learning curve. and it hasn't been necessarily simple for myself. But yeah, I don't. It
Sure. Yeah. Mate, that's awesome. Like, and Adrian, like, I really appreciated your time. And I don't know if Mario would have mentioned as well, like, one aspect like this has been fantastic. It's been great to connect and hear your story and so forth. And I'd love to continue a conversation offline because you're a type you're an individual in terms of your values, your beliefs, where you're at in your life. Like, we'd love to connect with and see if we can help you continue on your progress and help maybe from an AI point of view and help you learn some things around there. That, like, for me, that'd be amazing because like where we're at is about finding the right types of people that we go, do you know what? There's synergy. And I think when you do that, that what you can create from that is unimaginable sometimes. Interesting. Oh, are you? Okay. We'll have to connect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But honestly, I've loved every minute of this. Like, it's been an hour and it's absolutely flown by. I think, yeah, what you guys stand for, what you built, I think is fantastic. And yeah, regardless of what happens in terms of a business side, like, I hope that we can stay connected and maybe 5 years down the line, we can rerun this and you can tell me what success means to you then. Would, but thank you once again. And yeah, enjoy your evening. And I will hopefully be able to connect with you over the next couple of days to arrange a time to have an offline conversation. You're welcome. Take care, Adrian. Thank you, guys. See ya. Bye. Oh, guys, that was a fantastic conversation. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. As always, like, comment, share it with someone that it is going to get some value out of these conversations. And yeah, I will see you on the next one.